I feel obligated to record a video because I did this video last year on April 17th specifically. Because 2 years ago, I put in more effort into anything that I'd ever put into in my entire life. If you want more clarity, I did 5 push-ups. And those 5 push-ups led to me changing my entire life. I just slowly sort of changed. I grew to a different stage of life. At the time, I was eating these little £1 pizzas you get from the shop. I once looked at the ingredients list, and like the width of, like a pizza box, right? Like it's, like quite big, right? Let's say about the entire of the back of the pizza box was just the ingredients list, and then there were these little boxes at the bottom, like tiny boxes with like the extra stuff they add, like gluten free. I don't know, so like, it's been recyclable because it's a cardboard box, something like that. Probably about 200 ingredients. I was having one of those every single night without fail. Maybe there would be one day a week where my mum would cook me something and I just wouldn't eat it. I remember putting the plate like under my bed sometimes, because obviously I didn't want to eat it. At the same time, I didn't want my mum to know that I didn't want to eat it, because she'll feel bad. So I'd hide it, and that was a different sort of stage of life. And then I grew to the second stage of life, which is where you realize that your entire life, you're kind of ashamed of it. And it's just so obvious. Like, you wake up, and instead of just waking up, you wake up and you smell yourself, and you absolutely stink. That's the difference. All of your friends tell you that you've got greasy hair. There's a difference between having greasy hair and being aware that you've got greasy hair. There's a difference between stinking and being aware that you're stinking. Once you are aware of all the terrible parts of your life, and a lot of people, they're in denial. So, like, a lot of people, you probably know a few of them in your own life, honestly. Like, sometimes as a YouTuber, you get them in your comments section, honestly. You point out something. I've always been like this. I've always wanted to point out things, right, about people. You point out something, you make it aware to them, and then they go into this sort of like little denial stage where they're denying the thing is bad. People call it cope. They just denial. Like, if you're watching this video, if you're 3.5 minutes into this video, you're probably not in denial. But then once you overcome your own denial and you realize that your life is quite a shame, you're quite ashamed. You realize you're ashamed of your life. That shame becomes fuel, and that fuel creates the next version of yourself. It helps you grow into the second stage of your life, which is different for different people. Honestly, for a lot of people, it's self-improvement. For some people, it's finding a career path and getting good grades. It can be different things to different people. For me, it was self-improvement. It was, realizing the importance of habits. Basic reading every day, walking every day, talking every day. Learning skills and developing my own abilities and setting goals. That's what the second stage was for me. And then you sort of grow in that for a good while. For me, it's been 2 years since that first day when I grew from this first stage of life. Or this was the day when I actually took action. Like, you can feel ashamed of your life, and you can use that fuel into some sort of action. The 17th of April, 2022 was the day that I just did something. I just took some action. I was aware of my shame and I used that as fuel. And I just did 5 basic push-ups, like next to my bed. And now I'm in a different room, with a different bed, sitting at a different desk, on a different chair, talking to a phone that I didn't have, with the water bottle that I've kept with me almost every single day for the last year, with a body that is not obese. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm not gonna say I was obese, but I had a lot of weight. I was like 70 kg. I was 7. I was probably over that, honestly. I didn't weigh myself at the time, but I would genuinely estimate I was around 75, 80 kg, like from my body mass. But if you looked at my shape, my figure shape, you'd call me skinny, even though I had like 75, 80 kg on me. So you can convert that into I think 1 kg is something like 2.2 pounds if you want to convert that. So yeah, my life's changed a lot. I mean, that's just obvious, it's just boring pointing out. I made a video about a lot more of this last year on this exact day. In that video, I talked about how I hadn't really achieved much success in life. Specifically, I talked about how my life is on a trajectory where this time next year I should have a lot of success. And that was my thought process, right? So I'm just going to bring you into me this exact day last year. I'm building the habits that will create my future success. I'm trying to cultivate this sort of interpretation of myself as someone who is trying and growing, someone who's learning every day. Actually, bro, I was reading for an hour every single morning, and I was listening to a podcast every single evening. Like, Jesus, man, like I don't even do that now. Like genuinely, that was a. Actually, to be fair, man, to actually be fair to myself, I've spent a few hours learning today. Like, I actually just finished a podcast on some dude called what was the channel called? You can find it on. I think he's on Spotify. He's called like How to Take Over the World. Yeah, How to Take Over the World. I just listened to one of his because I literally just discovered him today, so he seems quite cool. I think if I emulate these successful people, it's his idea, but I'm on the same sort of thought process. If you emulate like these successful people, like their principles and values and virtues, like surely you'll, as long as they feel true to you and you're not emulating something that seems false. But anyway, that's to be fair, like anything I say in this video, it's just meant to be an interpretation of what I am like at this stage in 2 years down the line of starting self-improvement, okay? So that was my theory, right? I'm putting in all of the habits, I'm doing all of these small tasks that will add up to success. And I'll let you know, bro, a little lesson I learned over the last year. No amount of tasks adds up to anything, really. Like, I'm just gonna be completely honest. When you do tasks, nothing changes. Like I know this sounds crazy, but when you do task, nothing really changes. That's what I've learned. I've done the learning, right? I've done the extreme reading. I've done the extreme growing on YouTube. I've recorded the 400, the 500 videos. And that's quite good for a few years, bro. But like, I was doing 4 videos a day at one point. I've probably journaled. I've got a collection of journals that's like, I've got maybe like 6 or 7 full ones now. Like I've done I don't know, what else do people say is important in self-improvement? Like I've done like a good 200 workouts, like I've done the long chat. I've done a lot of the stuff that they say to do on self-improvement, right? And I'll have you know, bro, that none of the tasks actually adds up to anything. Like, honestly. Because the tasks, they do lead to outcomes. So I don't want to get this wrong, right? Like, when you do 10 push-ups, you do get more muscle. When you read a book, you do become cleverer, smarter. But it never adds up, you know? The success, it never sort of... Once you've achieved the few things learned, nothing is really that much better. Like, you will inevitably, in the near future, have a moment, no matter how hard you train, no matter how much reading you do, you will inevitably in the future have a moment that will be bad. A week, a month, a few months, that are just complete trash, right? And when you experience a really trash part of your life, those tasks, they don't catch up to you. All of the outcomes that you've gotten, once you try to use them to get out of a rough state, you realize how shallow they really are. Like, people say money is shallow. I'm not saying that. I'm saying the results of your actions are shallow in the midst of a serious life pressing issue, if that makes any sense to you. I mean, I try to dull myself down a bit, you know, because I hate the thought. I hate the thought of my younger self, Sam, 2 years ago, the dude that just wanted to do those 5 push-ups, the dude that felt ashamed, the dude that woke up, and the first thing in his mind was, I stink, bro. I hate my life. I live in darkness, bro. The last thing I want that dude to experience is clicking on one of these videos and not understanding a word I'm saying. That is the last thing on earth that I would ever want for anyone. And that's why I try to talk with some simplicity on these videos. That's why I try to avoid complex words, even though I really love them. Nobody probably knows that, but I really do love complex, simplified, ultra good words. So for you, bro, I'm gonna try my best. I was looking out into the horizon yesterday. I was sort of just thinking, reflecting on what I think I should talk about in this video. And the solution that I came to was this: love your problems. Because your problems is a reminder that no amount of tasks will set you free. I have been so disciplined in the past. You know, over the last couple of years, I've done all of the extremely disciplined things that people talk about. I mean, maybe not all of them, okay? Like, be fair, but like I've done most of them. Read 60 pages in one day. You know, I've done that. I've ran a 10K. You know, I've like, it's not that difficult. You know, I've woken up at 6 a.m. every day for maybe 5 something months. You know, you can do the things. But the thing that you'll keep coming back to, the lesson that the world will keep trying to tell you, even I will try to tell you it, but you'll probably ignore, is no amount of tasks will set you free. No matter how disciplined. Like, I don't care if you lock yourself in your room and you don't work. And you don't do anything else but work on a business for 18 hours a day for 7 months. That will not set you free. Like I haven't actually done that, so I don't actually know. But in theory, from the lessons that I've learned, it shouldn't, right? And the point of this, the point of this is to teach you one valuable lesson that I sort of missed when I was reading Atomic Habits, which is the basis of character, principles, roles, and identity. I haven't actually talked about this on my YouTube channel so far, but recently I've been sort of dedicating everything I've got to it. I've just finished a course. It's literally on YouTube for free. It's basically 12 1 hour long episodes. So like 12 hours of this dude. Like, just put in justice, what is the right thing to do, and you can find it if you really want to. But I mean, I doubt anybody's gonna actually watch that course. But it's very famous actually. It's from Harvard University, and it sort of just talks about philosophy. And I've just finished that today actually. And I'm trying to work out character and principles more. Because one thing you've got to understand, bro, because we all think that we have all of the missing pieces, and we all live in fear that we don't have them. So try and take my advice from being a couple years down this line now. God, I remember the first few months when I started self-improvement. There was a dude named Hamza, and I was like, yo, when I get 2 years into self-improvement, yo, I'm gonna be like his level. But I could be so great. I could do so many things. I had that sort of feeling of hope and anything is possible. It's a beautiful feeling at the beginning. I don't have any paper. I'll just use my hands, okay? So this hand is everything that you've been taught. Probably. If you're who I assume you are. The idea of techniques, processes, actions, systems, no, not that word. All of the things that you can do to get what you want. These are the things that are taught in the world of self-improvement, right? It is your... It is just those things. The reading, the exercise, the sleep. It is the sleep techniques. Basically, go back and watch any single video on my channel, and it will talk about techniques. It will talk about tools. Honestly, I always talk about tools. Genuinely. There's a belief that there's this really interesting phrase that I want to tell you here. Value extends beyond use. Okay? These are the things that you can use. These are the things that you can do. I don't know why, but the self-improvement culture is focused on nothing but this nowadays. As far as my eyes see. There are a few exceptions, of course, like actual successful people who talk about the left hand or the right hand, depending on how you've got this. Like this hand, okay? This hand is character, roles, principles, identities. This hand is your own personal philosophy and way of life. This hand is morality. This hand is justice. This hand is the definition of true freedom. This hand is the idea that value extends beyond use. You are completely useless without both of the hands. Okay? You're completely useless without both of these hands. If you've only got one, you are completely ineffective and useless. Try writing with one hand. Like genuinely, put one of your hands behind your back and try writing with just one hand. You might just about be able to do it, but it will be so ineffective. You'll make so many mistakes. It will be so hard to do anything. Okay. Now try writing with both of your hands. Okay. Try writing with both of your hands at the same time, and wow, everything works perfectly. Okay. This is the basic idea. Now, I was taught that this hand was a trick, okay? This hand is a trick that sort of like helps this hand. And that's all it is. It's a trick. I believe I'm this, okay, that helps this hand. That's it, okay? That's as far as my understanding went for the first 2 years of this journey. When you start to see these as both hands, and not just one hand holding the other steady. Like, they're both hands. They're just as important, okay? In fact, this is probably more important than this, honestly. You've got to have both hands. Like, how else do I put it? You've got to have principles. You've got to have a philosophy. Like, you just have to. You've got to have a sense of character. You've got to have a determined, hopeful vision of the future. I don't know. Like, you've got to have both hands. This hand is also your purpose in life, okay? Once you've got once you've got both your hands, everything just flows a lot more easy. Eventually, you'll learn that lesson. Maybe it's not here. Maybe it's on some other video 4 years from now. Maybe I can't convince you to focus on both hands while you're young. Maybe you don't actually need to. Maybe you'll learn this lesson. Maybe you'll rewatch this video 2 years from now and it will click for you then. And that is the lesson that brings me back to the original solution, which is just love your problems, bro. If you don't understand what I just said, or if you think you understood what you said, but you're not sure, you probably didn't understand it, and that's not your fault. Don't feel blamed for that. Just love your problems, okay? When you have a really, really rough patch, remember that all that is a reminder that whatever you've been doing, you've been focusing on your right hand and completely ignoring your left one. It's just a reminder. That's all it is. When life gets really tough, that's when it challenges your character. When it challenges your character and you lose, that means you've got a weak character. And that's why you've got to strengthen your character. And I'm not going to go much further because, sure, it took me a year to make this video. But I'll tell you what, bro. I'm just going to do my best from here. Also, if you've watched this far, you probably have watched other videos on this channel. If you've watched other videos on this channel, you've probably been confused at the upload schedule recently. The reason I've had a lot of colds. I've been a bit sick. Yeah, sorry about that, bro. And honestly, I can't be bothered to record a video. Stay here. Okay. I've got this little book. I asked my mum for some pocket notebooks, and this is my first one. It's green, and I've been taking some notes. So, okay. So, are there any basics that you need to know before you start? Collect principles. When you hear someone talk about how important gratitude is, don't write down a tip for gratitude journaling. Just write down gratitude. Okay? The problem with the process versus character argument is because they have different definitions of freedom. Freedom is what most of us want. It's what a lot of self-improvement is for. I follow a self-improvement influencer, and he's massive, honestly. And what he did was he asked his audience, what is the one ultimate goal of self-improvement? And basically every single one of them, except for me, said freedom. So, I had some weird psychological answer. But they all said freedom. So how come every single one of them said freedom, and yet not a single one can define it correctly? Isn't that a big problem? And you might be confused, right? Now, if you're like most people, you think that freedom is lacking obstacles. Freedom is being able to get what you want with the least amount of obstacles possible. Sort of like the idea of business. So let's say you want to make $1 million. Freedom is having nothing stopping you. Like you just press a button. Freedom is having a button that when you press gives you $1,000,000. That is most people's idea of freedom. Like, to be completely honest, most people's idea of freedom is wanting a girl and then 10 seconds later just having them. Like, that is most people's idea. Like, I know it sounds crazy, but when you really think about it, what is self-improvement for? I mean, come on. It's just for things to be quicker. To be completely, it's just for things to be quicker. Why do you want to be smarter? Quicker. That's the basics, honestly. The new definition of freedom is freedom equals chosen laws and ends. So specifically, principles, roles, ideas, and self-laws and rules that you have chosen by yourself, for yourself, and also ends. So you can think of an end sort of like an ultimate goal, a destination, your vision, even your purpose, and these ends are chosen by you, for you. So that is true freedom, like from what I've learned so far. And once you start to see freedom as more about choosing laws and ends instead of about, I want this, give it to me now, faster, come on, give it. Like, once you stop seeing freedom as that and you start seeing it as chosen laws and ends, it will start to make a lot more sense. Is there anything I haven't? There's nothing really. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of other stuff I could tell you, but I don't want this video to be too long. 27 minutes seems good enough for me. My name is Sam. Our name is Seven. Fix your brokenness for your purpose. And remember, bro, little younger me, love your problems. Every last one of them. Because I love them.